Financial wellness, I view as sort of the precursor to retirement readiness. It's directed towards all the participants in general, but it's also sort of like a fitness program to get yourself in shape. Stephanie's done a lot of work on this, and this is going to be a very important program as we go through 2024 and beyond. So with that, Stephanie, over to you.
First, I want to say thank you for reading this in advance. Thank you for all your other ideas that surfaced in the first on the conversation we just left, because that will all play into how we roll these out and attract people to it. So I'm going to take 20 minutes to go through it, have a conversation on the slide as we get there. If there's any clarification that's needed, or we can wait and then let's keep it so it's flexible. And want to position this view as the blueprint of the framework for learning. The why, the who, what, where, when, how we're going to put this education out there. So that's the foundation. It's not a full-on education plan for how we're going to attract people to this, or how we're going to gauge whether financial wellness is improving. Are the kinds of conversations we're having. So happy to have our business come through, but I wanted to set up about this business. So I believe we can go to the program overview, the introduction. Tour. So we've done a couple of things to explain why we had Fidelity, Fidelity here at our last board meeting in December, talking about financial wellness. We've had other conversations at the board level. So this is just a reiteration of why financial wellness is so important. Something I think the optimistic to everybody talk about. Our goals are basically to improve the financial knowledge and financial habits of our participants, and also to show that our employers understand why that's important. Why that's important for their employees. So in general, there's a lot of there's a big narrative out there about financial wellness in the benefits space. I'm not sure how much parts of the leaders are aware of that. And so we have a thought leadership opportunity, education opportunity among our employers regarding financial wellness. Next slide. I'm not trying to transaction. So the components of this is basically high quality, of course. We want to be very simple. Simple is key in this highly digital world that we live in. Personalized to the extent possible, interactive and engaging. Inclusive of feelings, not just behavior. So really understand that people have emotional relationships with money, and whether they pay attention or not pay attention to their money, those kind of an emotion around that, and be unbiased. So we're not selling anything, we're just giving them an opportunity to learn. You've seen this chart before, the participant journey. So this is the highest level of segmentation that you can look at, which is people who are actively working and those who are retired. And different stages within both of those, we will have some finer segmentation in addition to this. And the enrollment piece, which is all the way to the left. Wait, I'm sorry. Yes.
Which page?
So
that's
Yeah, you need to be in the next page.
Next slide. Is our participant journey. So again, those who are still working, those who are retired, within that there's micro phases. All the way to the left is the enrollment part of when they get to the RPP plan. So one of the things that's really important that we want to do with this program is instill a mindset as someone enrolls into the RPP that they need to focus on their financial wellness and their habits. This is not something we do right now. We're very transactional. Join the plan, contribute your money, contribute wherever you can, manage your allocation. So really trying to set the stage as soon as they enroll. So the next slide is our persona. So a persona is a fictional representation of our target market. It keeps us honest. It makes sure that we make decisions that are participant focused instead of, well, this is what I would do, or this is what my mother would do, or this is what my kid would do. We have to really be focused on all the research we've done to understand our participants and use that as our sanity check for our decisions. You may remember we did a financial wellness survey last year. The outcome of that survey, we worked with Fidelity's segmentation of financial personas. And so this mega persona really focuses on our participants that are in most need of this product. Everybody's gonna have use for it, but the people who are the DIY financial people, I can do it all myself, or I've got a financial advisor, or my spouse is really smart and I'm good. They're less in need of this. They still have financial wellness goals they can have. So our persona here is really targeted at the people who want to be in a better position or have something they understand how to get to a better position.
Stephanie, I
Yeah.
just ask, but as we go, is it
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
It is related to the conversation we had before the break. Is there personas sort of, this is an aggregated or a single that we're working with, but are there additional personas available that you could help inform our other discussion around target
Yes,
dates?
I think so.
Great.
Yes. So again, just to reiterate from our financial wellness survey, some of the key insights we got from that is that people do the minimum to stay engaged, they check their balances, they check their savings. They feel overwhelmed, there's too much information, not enough time, and it's hard to understand. Some think they don't have enough money or income to pay attention to their financial habits. They want to feel secure about their financial situation. They want to have the know-how to make good decisions, and they don't want to feel stressed about money. Big takeaway was across the board, everybody was anxious about it. Okay, next slide is program independence. So from a product standpoint, this is the range of learning opportunities that we want to put together. Starting all the way to the left with self-directed is the e-learning platform. This would be something that we would require. We have talked here about what Fidelity can offer in terms of e-learning versus outside third-party providers. Right now, we're in a position where we're leaning more towards an outside third-party e-learning platform because Fidelity is in a state of flux in the evolution of their financial wellness platform overall. They have the tools, they just don't have it bundled well. Next to that, we have periodic tips that are e-blasts that will be focused on some content that would be relevant. In the middle, we have wellness forum and LifeStage seminars and market webinars. The wellness forum kind of relates to what we were talking about earlier, which is having a place where people, participants can come together as a community, learn from an expert, talk to each other, share their concerns, and feel safe doing it. The Life Stage seminars, that is an expansion of our annual retirement planning seminars. So that's really targeted at pre-retirees and kind of step back to people who are either just starting out or building their wealth and do some targeted seminars for them as well. And these are also based on the platforms that were cited as the most wanted in our financial wellness survey. Then going towards the live guidance section of the product offering, we have retirement planners and financial planner coaches. So these are definitely by Fidelity and some of the learning platforms that we looked at and the ones we're considering also have financial coaches that they provide that are unbiased, licensed, not registered investment advisors, but licensed to just talk about personal finance. And then we have Robert's team as well providing guidance. So the offering and the concept here is to be very intentional and to bundle something and name it and not name it, I'll give it a fancy name, but just be clear about this idea of financial wellness and having a mindset of I have to pay attention to my financial habits, where I pay attention to the other habits I have.
Can you clarify what you mean by bundling, like bundling across the spectrum or bundling within the?
What I mean by that is right now, we send out emails, we have a retirement seminar, we don't ever talk about it in a holistic, way.
It probably way to describe it as a framework,
A framework.
right? So try to put a framing around our approach.
That,
That we've had all these piecemeal things we're doing, and we want to try to package it up in a thoughtful way. And by doing so, hopefully driving additional engagement and people consuming the product and solving some of the issues we've been talking about around the table.
This is Steve. Can I ask a question? Because there was a comedian who said that the reason why people don't go to doctors is because if they go to a doctor, the doctor will tell them they have it. So if they don't go to the doctor, they don't have it. What I have found in talking to so many people, particularly as they're getting into their 40s and 50s, and even in early 60s, is the concept of retirement scares them to death. What am I going to do? And the way to deal with that issue is not to pay attention to it, which is a lot of the reason why I think people are just not paying the attention they should to the financial side, because that may mean that I have it. I may retire. So, Stephanie, my question to you really is, are we taking a step, should we be thinking about taking a step back and focusing on the fact, I love Leonard's comment about how, if you retire when you're 65 and this is your life expectancy, you've got 20 to 25 years where you've got to support yourself. In other words, take the it factor head on, not from a finance point of view, but from a point of view that basically says, you're going to retire at some point. I don't know what you're going to be doing, but you're going to retire, and focus on it. In other words, attack the it factor head on, rather than talk about finances, which assumes people are ready to think about retirement when they're not.
Thank you for that. So the answer is that will be part of the communications. Now, this is not build it and they will come. This is build it and we have to give them a reason to come. So right now, we don't have a place that if we can engage someone, say, all you have to do is take one step, go here, and this can help you. So we don't have that landing pad for that. So what we need to do is take your insight is, as well as all the other insights in this room, and put that into our thinking around how we're going to talk to people about this and drive them to these resources. That's, we can say, 27 years, and then they're like, well, what am I going to do about that? What action do we want them to take? So it's like the think, feel, do situation.
I think we need to use that example as in our marketing campaign.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might have it, and we're going to help you find it.
So, we all have really great sound bites. Really great.
Well, that's my
Good
point,
one.
Michael. It's amazed me. I don't know if you've experienced this, because when people come to talk to you, they're talking to somebody who they know is with the Reform Pension Board, and so they're making a conscious decision to talk to somebody about retirement. I suspect the reason why a lot of people don't come to talk is because their fear of having it. If I come to talk about retirement, that means I got to figure out what I'm going to do when I retire. That's not talking about the money side of it, what I'm going to do. And I'm repeating myself. I just wonder whether that should be a very stark focus of how we try and get people into a room. Not finance, but you're going to retire.
Right.
So
Why do you go to a doctor? You're going to get old and something's going to happen. You're going to go to a doctor. You will have it.
operations, but not going to the doctor. So to your point, which I think is illuminated by what you're saying, is that when someone is 30 and has debt, they're not, their it is different. Their it is, how do I get out of debt? And how can I go on a vacation if I have to do that? What do I do for retirement? And when we spoke to 12 different learning platform vendors, all of their services are designed to help people with the thing that's their it right now. And once they get them on their it, then they lead them to other places like saving for retirement.
So that leads to my question, because I'm confused by, and just shortly straighten it out. Financial wellness could be a whole lot of things to a whole lot of people. I mean, we're used to the retirement space and getting money to survive for the 32 years after you're 65 or whatever. But it could be paying off debt, it could be paying healthcare expenses, it could be paying, for your kids' education, it could be all sorts of financial wellness through somebody's entire life. When we talk about doing our program, are we specific, help us frame
Sure.
what financial wellness are we really honing in?
So financial wellness is we find it, and it's not just us, but that we took Fidelity's definition.
Yeah.
And in our survey, we also put that definition out there. And it's basically knowing what you need to do near term and long term with your money. So that you can live.
Okay,
That's a super watered down definition. But
what is holistic?
it's holistic, it's wherever you are in your life and whatever's coming up for you, being able to handle the near term and say you can care for your long term financial goals. People in our survey did not understand what financial wellness meant, but they really aligned it with investing. I'm investing, I'm good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ron?
And just to speak to the point that you raised, when we've been calling people around 10 years, one of the things that we're talking with them about is just the availability, if necessary, of taking a loan from themselves, which is the cheapest loan that they're going to be able to take, and that may pertain to somebody who's trying to put together tuition for preschool or for college, or for anything else in life. So, the issue of wellness ultimately will hit every point along the curve, ideally.
And I'll just add, if you look all the way on the left, the self-directed part, the e-learning, that's a critical component because financial literacy is a critically important piece of getting people to be confident in their understanding to then make good decisions, whether it be on retirement or on many other aspects of their financial health. And so we're in a unique position because of where we sit and the relationship we have with our participants to be able to help them, right? For very much incremental dollars, we can be making a very big impact on our participants' overall health and their families' health. And that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, and also the conversation in general has expanded at large in society. It's beyond, it's a overall mental health component associated with it.
Yeah, I think the disconnect for me, or the observation maybe, is I'm used to seeing these kinds of programs, whether it's financial wellness or well-being or whatever, given by an organization to its employees.
Right.
Okay, because it's in their best interest to make sure their employees are financially secure enough so they can focus on their job and be healthy and all that. The fact that we're this multiple employer plan that's retirement focused, I totally buy into the need for this, but we're coming at it through a retirement lens, and that's different than like coming at it from an employer.
So I'm going to say that from my perspective, Michael and I hope you agree with this. We don't want to do that. The point about like how this all got started is understanding how the marketplace and the macro environment is changing. And we need to step up to the plate, and just having that retirement focus is like going to the hand surgeon, what's the rest of the body doing? So we want to deepen and broaden our brand message and mission. Of course, our wheelhouse is retirement. We have to get the wellness resources, we're not providing them from our staff. But what we do, maybe fiduciary responsibility would be remiss if we just stay focused on retirement without looking at the broader picture and helping someone get out of debt.
Well, in some ways, I'm viewing this as an added benefit to our employers. Because they don't have to do this because we're providing this service for them.
Right.
What's that mean?
Meaning you just hit the nail on the head.
Oh.
I mean-
Got it.
Five.
Okay.
So I went over this.
Is this the right slide?
Slide 5.
I'm not sure. Oh,
1.2.
here we are.
Yeah, so the second bullet there is enable employees to provide a wellness benefits for their workers.
Yeah.
So this is the piece that we don't know how savvy our builders are at this. Maybe the largest ones are, I don't know if they're judgments about it, but it's going to be up to us to educate them about the importance of this, and we really need the employers to be aligned with this in order for this to take off in a meaningful way.
We're trying to position ourselves in some ways as an extension of every congregation's HR function.
Well, I mean,
And we thank you.
HR function in every congregation, I mean, some executive directors are great at it, some of them have other strengths, and again, they don't know,
Right.
they may not know what they don't know.
Right.
On this, I mean, no, like, right, everyone has strengths, everyone has some things they can grow on, and.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there are the hundreds of synagogues that don't have executive directors,
Right,
who
right,
have just the rabbi
Right.
and the maintenance person, right? And,
Right.
and so we're really trying to add value and extend our core competency and value proposition to everyone in the movement, because happy employees are happy congregations, right? And we know in this day and age where everybody's more stressed out, if we can add just a little bit of solace in this regard, we're doing our job.
I will say that the email that you sent out in January, because it was financial wellness month or whatever with the budgeting document, I thought that was great. I thought it was really helpful, and even if people just clicked on it and didn't do much more than look at it, but made them think about, oh, what am I thinking about with budgeting? I thought that was a great aha moment from this organization.
Thank you. Amy,
I'm gonna kind of echo what a lot of people said. I think the finance and the investment piece can be very intimidating to many people, but if you make it about planning for goals, you know, whether, yes, retirement's one goal, but it could be buying a home, it could be saving for college, it could be saving for some other goals. And make the conversation around goal planning, are you on track? There's calculators, there's a resource. I think it's less intimidating than like, let's check out your investments and see if you have it right. And then the other kind of unrelated but related, we talk a lot about appropriateness of investments, which is really important. I would also say, like, when we're going through the outreach, making sure people have beneficiaries on file for their account.
Every time I log in.
Yeah, but like if there could be a campaign around that or something targeted where people don't, and maybe even do that. Okay, yeah. That's
Yeah,
the
we-
thing is, like, I'm talking for one of you,
Yeah.
even just like basic estate planning, like why you need a will, why your beneficiary should be up to date.
So I think that, you know, what's great that you're all hitting on is that, there's so much that we really need to talk to people about, to get them to understand and kind of put into their brain and have on some kind of mental calendar. So the idea is that, let's say up till now, we've done the best we could, which is send emails directly to Fidelity, have them call Robert. Which is all still good. All
Your hand
still
up,
good. But we want to give them something where we can say, you know, here is the place where you can go run and deal with whatever you have to do. You just need a container for all of it, so it just doesn't feel like you're spamming everything. And also the narrative for us is changing, because the narrative for them instead be more integrated. So the next page on from six program components. Does that all make sense? Is there anyone else who has any other concern? So this just gets into a little bit of detail. The Easy Learning Platform, as I mentioned, and Michael reiterated, it's self-directed. Do we need to go over this?
you have this, we sent all this out. We're not going to read through all these words here, but you
So
know,
let me just put it out there, so I don't know, in the room here, who has questions, who understood everything. Certain sense, you know, the exam issues, you know.
Just with reference to this or
Yeah,
with
with
reference to the
reference to
whole?
these two pages. We're good? I'm just gonna highlight this wellness pledge, which is something that, so really, I'm gonna say the Cadillac, so the Mercedes, that is on platforms. They do a lot of engagement, they have awards, They have financial incentives to do things, they'll have these budgets. We don't know how essentially we're gonna be able to be on that piece of this, so the wellness pledge is a behavioral thing to be like, hey, I'm gonna be like the rest of my colleagues, I'm taking the pledge, I'm gonna pay attention to my financial habits, that's the other side behind that. So, next page, strategies, these are, what is going to form our administration plan, which we do not have 100% in place yet. So the different for someone who says, loss that you were referring to, what makes RBD different than BSA, who now has a big financial wellness campaign out there. What we want them to think, feel, and do, behavioral finance and Jewish values. So we do want to weave in, we don't want to give them another thing to try to think about in terms of Judaism, but we do want to weave in what David wrote into his bar, Jewish concepts that support the idea of financial wellness.
I'm really glad to see Jewish stuff that I'm going to add later, but I'll say it now. But, it's a Jewish value not to make yourself dependent on something that can't be taken seriously. Jewish value to an education and a job and support yourself and prepare yourself so you don't have to go to the community and say, I can't pay. I think our ethic code and TCR also has a place for somebody who need to handle their finances correctly. And not only need to be kosher that, but sometimes rabbis who would solve the problem, they go to the foundation and say, I have no money. I can't put behind my debt, my credit card, I can't pay the mortgage. And the congregation says, well, so I think this Jewish value, you can build yours. But I think emphasizing the Jewish value with our colleagues helps them to put it into perspective, to see that they actually have to arrive at some different goal settings and traveling on the valley, not just retirement, with a sense of responsibility. I think emphasizing Jewish values not at the bottom of this list, but some of the bottom, especially the rabbis.
Yeah. Definitely, thank you. Yeah, this list is not in priority order. Many of our CJA infuse all of their financial wellness messages with messages from their denomination. We have not done that. We've been much more about the subject matter of finances. We really want to, we have our Jewish values investing, but it's not in our communication. So we really want to make that part of what we do. The next page, 1.7, you've all seen this before. These are Fidelity's financial personas. They have they tagged all of our participants. We put our tag in our database, so we have the ability to send an email to jumpers, for example. Any questions on this? I'm moving on. Okay.
Right along.
Yeah, we will also segment by whether they are active or retired, the persona in the middle circle, and by engagement level. That's something from Fidelity. So I'll just take a minute and explain that to you. So highly engaged and education engaged are participants that engage with financial health from Fidelity or use Fidelity's live or virtual tools. Fidelity can track that. So 49% of our participants are highly engaged or education engaged. Basic engaged is they go into net benefits and they use stuff there and then they call Fidelity. Unengaged and deeply unengaged is no contact in the prior 1 to 2 years with anything Fidelity related. But just so you understand.
And just to start one round, just so you know, our engagement numbers are better than peer and better than Fidelity's average client. So we actually do score, even though we're under allocated to equities on average, that was part of the investment committee discussion earlier. We are higher than average when it comes to these numbers, which is good.
I want to bet that that if you look by current engagement level, that there actually are more that are highly engaged, because I have a financial advisor. I don't call Fidelity for financial advice because I don't need to call for Fidelity. And I think there are a lot more people in that cohort then Fidelity is necessarily gonna recognize.
That is probably those, yeah. But this is based upon interaction with developers.
Right, I understand.
Okay, there's a lot here, so I'm gonna go a little bit faster. Our audience segmentation, just the key takeaway here is you see Gen Z starting to pop up. We have 45 Gen Z participants. And then the rest obviously the Gen X and baby boomer, bigger participant populations. How are we gonna communicate this? Email, we have RPD website, which is our portal, as well as our public website. We have professional organization newsletters that came up before. We have the e-learning platform and the professional organization websites themselves. So professional organization reps on the board here. We would want to work with you to get your website page for RPB to be more reflective of where we're going with this and more page. So, yeah.
I have a question back one about just the not 15 non-Your Day congregations.
Yeah, those are nonprofits.
No,
Oh, so they're not.
no.
Yeah.
So they're not
Non-UR,
congregations.
we have a handful of non-URJ congregations where we have active employees because they're in the grace period.
Right.
These are
Okay.
folks who are,
In the grace period.
they're likely rabbis who are in their grace period, period.
Right.
So,
Stephanie, this education is only available to active participants.
Actually, retired and not good. It's still with us.
So like, one thought about, is there an opportunity to engage people before they even come into the plan?
So,
I.e. they're at HUC. We do that.
well, we could, well, right now, Michael goes to this very interesting students and does a shield. We can talk about whether they can start working with this. I don't know, they'd have to know the plan first.
We have to be thoughtful and realistic
Yeah.
about who we can serve. We certainly want to promote RPB to the people we know, and that those are certainly HUC students, whether you're a rabbinic student or education student, as well as any other employee who's already at a URJ synagogue, right? I mean, obviously, we need to rely upon the employers to promote us and get them to enroll. But in terms of engaging with our stuff, that becomes a little trickier if you're not a member of the plan. And I look to council to probably say, yeah. But-
As soon as you become a member.
Hey,
Here's the.
You're in the system, you're in.
You can learn and say.
Yeah.
All right, so 1.9.
By the way, just one other segment in terms of how we will be trying to, and we just mentioned it, is we also have our professional organizations. Like we're gonna rely upon and work with all the professional organizations to help us, target some of our material to them. It might, it's gonna be the same stuff, whether it goes to the educator or the rabbi, but we're gonna make it feel like it's just for the rabbi or just for the educator, right? So that's important.
And professional organizations are great at putting out messages, and so we'll just have each new message. So anyway, the takeaway here is we'll use all the communications channels we have. A new channel for us would be texting. We will do an experiment with a cost-effective experiment to see what it's like to text and what kind of uptake we get on that, and be very discerning with the messages that we put out.
And we're doing that now. Many of our countries are very well ahead, but we're doing it now.
And how's it going?
Going pretty well, because we didn't think majority of the congregation would be interested in that. Apparently, it's only above a certain age group that is not interested. And otherwise, it's going pretty well.
We're not being pushed out.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
That's great, so that's good. It makes sense. And we have to- TikTok is our next round. Okay, the next slide, 1.10, available formats. It's the whole array of formats we can use for messaging. I'll just focus on the QR codes. We'll start using more of those to direct people to content through their phone, where 96, the stat is that 96% of the people worldwide who use the internet use it to do mobile device. So, we've got it already. Okay, how might we launch this? So. 2.1 phase approach, we would have a pre-launch announcement approximately 4 weeks before it's go live, explaining what the program is and why financial wellness matters. During the launch period, which is the first month through the third month, reinforcing the message, getting people to try it. So it's awareness, interest, desire, action. It's basically the steps we're gonna go through. It's not going to be easy, it's going to be a heavy lift. We'll probably get, a low hanging fruit, and then we're gonna have to just keep hammering to get other people engaged. Using a lot of the ideas that were brought up in this room. Before we leave that slide, does anyone have any questions?
And we're gonna rely on everyone here to help us make sure our messaging is gonna get through. I mean, we have participants, we have other professionals in the plan here, and hopefully you're gonna help us get through this.
So, question for you, so you're going directly to you're helping employers prepare, I see that, you're going directly to the participants, or, to any of the participants.
We're gonna do both, we're gonna work with employers and with participants.
And would there be any employers that would push back and say, I don't want my employees to have this? I can't imagine, but I'm just asking if they have their own program.
No, and I said to Dave a minute ago that I've served 3 large congregations and never was involved in the conversation about financial wellness in any of those places that targeted the employees of the institution. Never, ever. So.
Yeah.
We definitely have some very large congregations that have retirement plans that for the non-rabbi, the non-educator, everyone else, and that population, might have their own programs through those retirement plans. Like we said, this is only going to be available to participants of the plan, but like Stephanie said, we really have to push this through every channel possible.
We
Right.
only push back if they don't have the time, the desire to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's the T-4 to give people a chance to. If they're more to say, hey.
Yeah.
Not an hour long, but.
Yeah.
So part of the go-to-market strategy, if you will, would be to have some kind of webinar or something with employers so that they can get on board with this.
Can I?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about these webinars and I understand that we're talking to employers, but when I think about the expanded types of employees we have now in the plan, many of them can't do a webinar in the middle of the day based on the role that they have in the institution. And I just think we should be thinking about that. And I'm thinking in particular, David and Jill and I had a conversation in December, and we're talking about early childhood teachers. They can't leave their classroom to do a webinar in the middle of the day. So I just want us to be thinking through what we might need to be doing for those kinds of employees who can't do some things.
That's a really good point.
Friday night or Saturday morning.
Hey, sure, but if you have, we have many congregations may have a day where they have an all staff meeting, like nobody works on Wednesday, there's an all staff meeting on Wednesday, that would be a time when you could do it for everybody. Or have people sit in their own groups where it's tailored to them, if that's what the plan is, because then you know that at the time, I would certainly be willing to take whatever staff meetings that I have people where they can step away, so I know I have their time and do it, and we can track those webinars around exactly what we do.
Okay, so next slide, please. So the goals, again, awareness, interest, desire, action. So we want them to understand why it's important to feel motivated to engage, and also think about RPP as a credible source for helping them with their financial needs. Next slide. the key point on this slide is the purple or Michelle X's, so we have to come up with what the engagement metrics are to see how successful we are, what's realistic to capture. So obviously, how many participants are engaging, if they feel like they've improved their financial knowledge and habits, and as an example of something we want to see that they've done, set a budget, which is something if they're engaging with e-learning, we can get stats when we come to the platform. Anyway, this is a conversation. We need to really think through what these goals are and see how we want to measure success. 2.4, the takeaway on this slide is that this program is for everyone. We are going to focus primarily, you can see jugglers, safeguarders, inspirers, represent 2,500 approximately of our participants. Those are the people who are most in need of some kind of help. So that would be, we'll have a special focus on that. And on unless there are questions. Okay, the next 2.4, the takeaway here is doing some kind of a pilot program with Gen Z. If they'll stand still long enough to wait with us, and just kind of find out from them what's important and how we can help them and get them involved in some kind of thing.
This is more direct outreach to these individuals and try to build a cohort, a true cohort. And I couldn't help but to think about some of the conversation we were having earlier around bringing people together, like-minded people together, or like same stage people together to have those conversations.
Right.
And, you know, to leverage that opportunity with this group, but also to use them to help us build this out even further. So that's the thinking behind this.
I'm gonna skip through some stuff. Let's go to page 25, 2.5. So we imagine having some kind of financial wellness hub on our website where the participants can access any components of this framework to the extent they're available and ready, and if they want to use them. We do have some functions on our website right now. We have something called a navigator and a knowledge center, so we're going to nationalize all those resources. The following pages are something we call communications map. It's really a lot of detail. I don't think we want to spend our time on this right now, so I'm going to go past that. And we have our estimated schedule, which is 2.7. Basically, we're looking to do some kind of a soft launch. Really, I think more realistically, it's going to be after the Jewish holidays. We then run up against election day. People might be bonus, but I'm not having that. No, we have to juggle when we're talking about this. But that's generally, and then we want to move in and learn. We're going to learn a lot during the first year that we're doing this, or the first 6 months, and see what's good and what isn't, and then we have to do to optimize. The following pages talk about preliminary messaging. This copy won't be what we put out there, but it guides our copy. So if we go to 2.8, our primary message is create more financial security and peace of mind, set a path to achieving more of your life goals. It's easy with all these financial wellness tools. It's easy to get it and not get it with our financial wellness tools. So again, this is just our underlying premise based upon our survey that we did. 2.8, the following page is just going into more detail around messaging. Going to use that measurement. 2.9, basically, there's lots of variables that we can measure, but we have to understand what our key performance indicators are, and then what necessary is to track those. So that's work to be done. Happy to engage in a conversation here to go through and that. And I'm going to go to, we can go to strategies and the appendix. So why, B of A has rolled out this really intense financial wellness program. It's on the screens in my gym. Why, from B of A customer, that's a competitor to us, right? Why have we got this as a RTD. So what we have, which I think is our secret sauce, is the fact that we're a community. And we really care, and you can have these really wonderful one-on-one conversations. And feel like we can listen to them. So I don't think we get that at an institution like the U of A. And I think that has to come across in everything that we do in terms of competitiveness. What do I want to do next? Behavioral science, we're gonna incorporate page 42 is strategies and do it regarding key values. So this was strategies. Yeah. So this was just a brainstorm. This needs to be refined and with input. Obviously, I am not a scholar and.
You know any rabbis that might be able to help us or educators?
Rabbis, yes. So we will be looking for guidance here on what the messages should be, and it's just putting from thoughts right out there. And then the last thing I want to go to is page 45, which says employers. So very rough, did some kind of kickoff meeting with employers to do the program. With Alice and Robert and Michael, they're working on videos for the employers to show to their staff about the program. We want to create an employee incentive that's evergreen, that employers can hand to their employees. You know, they can do it for medical care, but we don't have to do that. That's a thing. And also educate employers about contributions that an employer doesn't have to contribute. So don't, you know, that's the bit to the employer. I'm not going to talk about it with my employees, so then I'm going to have to contribute. So no, the employees can contribute, and they can contribute not just 3 times and post times, which is super important, especially to the younger folks. And then the very last page was the pictures of brand role models. This is a branding exercise we did with the board 7 years ago, and these really encapsulate everything that I've been talked about earlier today about who our people is. David and are the way we spoke about at the end of the world. We're a caretaker, a stage, a curator, and that was so it's a lot here. It's get everything down. We have our blueprints. I don't know if anyone else is anything.
So Stephanie, there's a lot of work involved.
Yes, there's a lot of work.
Perhaps you could tell the board about your plans to add staff in your area.
Sure. So we're going to be hiring another marketing person that, among other things, will be helping us with the sound. So
That is a priority.
so
We're meeting tomorrow about that.
so it's
A question on the funding, which sounds like this, is there a concern with given the broader scope of this with using plan assets to pay for this?
So in the budget, which was passed quite recently, resources were devoted specifically to this area.
Right. And I'm just
It's a
asking,
legitimate.
I'm asking a
Legal
legal
question.
question, is there a concern with paying?
I would argue that this is a very much big time. Doesn't trouble me that. It's a good question.
It may only be one of the duties assigned to this individual, if you put it that way. This is just another staff person in a public relations area.
There's more cost than just the.
yes, yeah, it is.
Yeah. just like that.
There's the cost of the moment, there's that cost to do some integration with our system.
It's great stuff.
Web, probably it's getting.
But you just.
Yeah, no, all the costs, and I always think we have, you know, if there's a concern for those, for the adler fund maybe as being a source of, I'm making this up in the room, but,
Yeah.
you know, just.
This shouldn't be in the-
Let's hit pause the recording, please.
Stephanie, oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, go.
I saw a lot of this year's consumed, it's an asset development. For 9 months or so. Is this a mix of from scratch, buying things that are, from other vendors? Like, what's the mix of sort of?
It's a couple of, so, in terms of the platforms, the learning platform, like the way to
Right.
that looks like a buy, so that Fidelity gets their academic. So that's one. The other is content development, sending out these emails and any other.
Sure.
Content development there, and just integrating everything. So we have our participant portal, which we implement benefits, that's which now that we push our participants to do, so we probably do some integration, some integration on the website to have this wellness hub and rationalize that with other stuff that's in there. So.
Our general philosophy is if we can acquire it at low or no cost, we'll acquire it. I don't want us to be designing content, like education content. I think a lot of the heavy lift is really the marketing campaigns.
Right, okay,
That
I think that's what I was trying.
It's really.
Assets sounded more like the learning assets.
Right,
and
no.
not
A lot of the
campaigns.
assets
But I get it.
are, what are all the different messages that we have to create? And the copywriting piece is gonna be big for this.
Right.
That alone. Yeah,
All of the emails we talked about here.
and then implementing the e-learning platform.
Understood.
Lisa?
So, Stephanie, you said this a couple of times, so I just like a little clarification. You said we will probably have to go with a different e-learning platform until Fidelity gets its act together. So is it that we want to go with Fidelity because it will be a lower cost once they get it together because we already use them? Or is it because we believe Fidelity is going to have a better product? And what will be the implications in the strategy of going from one platform to Fidelity's if in fact we switch from something else to Fidelity?
So that's a question that we've been talking about extensively internally. We don't know if Fidelity's platform will be better because we don't know how it's going to be together yet. They've got pieces, they're working on things. You can't go to one place and take their financial wellness journey and say, okay, I got it. So I don't know, we don't know the answer to that yet. There are many different learning platforms out there, some of which we can't afford, $100,000 a year. That's the capital, really, really nice. What we now is a platform that we think is, and we're still evaluating it, is very, very good in its own right. We're not overpaying for it. We feel that it gets us to where we want to be with our participants, and it doesn't present the inclusion that Fidelity's stage presents. When if we transfer from one platform to another, that will obviously be a bit of a learning curve for those that have engaged. And I think it's like any platform change that you do, we'll have to deal with it at the time. The other strategy would be but waiting for Fidelity is not a good strategy. Because they're too big and we can't get away with that. And that, we can't run over.
What we've learned about Fidelity is, by the way, we're really happy with Fidelity. They are the number one record keeper for a reason. But their size does create some obstacles for moving nimbly, I think is the best way to describe it. Big organizations move slowly. They have many, many, many masters to please. And what's frustrating is a lot of their stuff is good. It's just not packaged well. And the last thing we need is to put something out that's poorly packaged, and then nobody will engage with it. We will have failed miserably, right? So the thinking is, let's go with something that is packaged better which does create its own challenges because we still want to drive into Fidelity for some stuff, right? And so that's going to be the trick with how we, you know, if we do this hub approach. And so there's still a lot of work to be done to think about really the end user in mind as we design this. And that's really the most important thing. You know, a tool is great, but if it's not going to be used, what's the point, right? But it's a really, really important point. You know, in 3 years' time, if Fidelity stuff looks amazing and we can figure out a thoughtful transition plan, we will. You know, if people are like, don't we love this thing? We won't. You know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
I'd say that's saying that that's the question. Right now, Fidelity, you know, they have these great tools and they're also in the market to sell their products. So whenever you engage with them, there's always that part of the engagement. Why don't you do this? Why don't you call it to the company here? So it's not really unbiased. It's not that selling to the company to it. The other thing is that in talking with the learning platform, they have customers who also use Fidelity as a reference. And they can embed links in their program where we want participants to go out with Fidelity. So we're not the first.
Stephanie, thank you very much.
Ron, I think you have your hand
I
up.
just have, I think it's brilliant, exciting and challenging piece of work. And we all owe you a debt of thanks for this. It's really great.
And you can collect that when you.
Anyone on Zoom, any other thoughts, comments, questions at this juncture?